Brothers and sisters, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Afternoon. Okay, good. This is an interactive walk. I am Reverend Rodney Olive. I'm associate pastor at the Rock Church, which everybody knows. I've been asked to do the welcome here today, and I do want to say, well, it's good when we, the community, can get together. See, because we don't come here hoping somebody will give us something. We're here today to claim what we deserve and claim what is due us. Because people have asked me, well, why are you here? I'm 30 years a missionary from the Caribbean missions. I've spent time in 7 countries. I've been involved in social justice for 40 years. And one thing I've always known is we got to claim the truth. We've got to own the truth. And I've taught many a church, I will not teach you how to defend the truth. The truth is its own defense. It is a power unto itself. I'll teach you how to proclaim it. And my job is to proclaim the truth. When we talk about our plans, our developments, one of the things I learned, this is my 3.5 years here now in St. Louis. And I learned when I first got here, oh, there's an invisible wall on Del Mar. I picked that up within the first few days. I watched people come up to the Del Mar Divide. If you live here, it wasn't hard to figure out who lives here because people just cross the street and keep going. Then you got those folks that, ooh, okay, and they walk away. Okay, you don't live here. Why? I've listened to people at different meetings when I've been in the county and other areas, and you say, oh, Father, where are you from? Oh, I'm from North Grand. North Grand, that's on the other side of Del Mar? Yeah. Oh, oh God, you're from there? And I have a problem with that. See, I don't say, oh God, I'm from North St. Louis. I say, praise God, I'm from North St. Louis. We see the beauty that not only may be, but is and can be better. That's why we're here today. And we're here because we believe. We believe not up here, we believe here. Because otherwise we wouldn't be here. I was sharing with somebody when they asked me, what brought me here? Because I need to be here. People of God are here, however you believe in God. And we're here to claim justice and truth. I'm amazed. I was hoping there was a particular photo, but yesterday I went to a meeting with other folks from this group and from other groups. And there's a building right on the other side of the housing authority. It needs to go. Simply because it's a threat and a hazard to the people of the North Side. But let me be nice and say, there are powerful people that have other ideas. There are people from outside our community that are going to tell us what we need. But you haven't talked to us. So how can you know what we need if you haven't talked to us? And we have not told you what we need. When I came here 3 years ago, I was working with the church's Peace and Justice Commission. And I'm one of those priests that travel at night because I want to know the area I'm living in. Well, there were, and I stress the word were, 3 motels which had ladies of the night. And they had a drive-through business going on. You bring your money, roll down your window, stick your hand out the window, the money goes out, and your product goes in. better than McDonald's drive-through. You know, I found out after about 6 months that I was talking with one of the cops that it's easier to buy a gun than it is to buy groceries. And then the policeman justly looked at me and says, Reverend, with all due respect, how do you know? Oh, because I know exactly what street to walk down. And for $420, I can get a 9mm Glock with ammunition. No questions asked. If I got the money, somebody has the time. But when it comes to groceries, well, praise God, that's a different story. So that's why I'm here, because we deserve better. We deserve the kind of equity that we hear all kind of politicians talk about. That will happen someday. That's not good enough. We don't want to wait till someday. Because if some of these derelict buildings existed in South Grand, you wouldn't have to go to court for 10 years. You wouldn't have to have 20 different meetings with the city council. They'd be gone in a week. Well, praise God for you. We want the same right and the same courtesy. You know, because people told me, you'll never get rid of those 3 motels. I said, why? Well, you know how it is. Well, I know how it is. I know how it needs to be. I said, we've done the protests. I said, okay. And it didn't work, did it? And they said, no, how do you know? Because those kind of protests were developed by Martin Luther King in the 60s. Society did not know how to deal with that. They knew how to deal with a protest of the 5 of us. You let them go, you put them in the camera for 10 minutes, and God bless them, you go away. It's a whole different story when instead of 5, you brought 1,000. The water cannons came out. That'll make them go away. No, now day 2, 5,000 showed up, then 10,000. Well, over the last 30 years, leaders in society figured out how to deal with that. They said, well, how are you going to suggest we get rid of these motels? Well, let me show you a way that works in the Caribbean. My sister here every morning at 9 o'clock is going to call the health department and file a complaint about seeing rats near the garbage can. My sister here is going to call housing. I've just seen some strange things going on. People staggering, and it doesn't look like they're drunk. She's going to call at 9 o'clock. And I went down 7 agencies. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, all the way to 4 o'clock. People said, what that's going to do? Watch and see. Within a week, I got a phone call. Could you tell people to stop doing this? Me? I'm only a parish priest. I will try. Well, how do we get these people to stop? Well, I would suggest you send the representatives from each of these agencies to do what they're paid to do. Inspect and evaluate. Within 3 months, the first one closed. Within 8 months, the second one closed. And then if you were watching the newspapers about, was it 2 months ago? About 2 months ago, the ATF, the DEA, the FBI, state narcotics, city narcotics raided this other one. Well, they gathered almost 30 weapons, about 5-7 pounds of heroin, another 5-10 pounds of fentanyl. And well, the health department, they had a laundry list of faults that they had to correct. The building inspector had another laundry list of problems that had to be corrected. By the time these people were done, this place, if it wants to open again, probably has about $1.5 million of corrections. Needless to say, there's a fence saying closed for business. So yeah, when we get together, there is power when we trust in the power of God, because with God, all things are possible. With God, we can do all things. So when people look at this community, our community, because I live here, when people look at our community and says, what? No. See, with God, we can do all things. And people have told me, what are our goals? We want a whole, healthy, and vibrant community. We want grandmothers and grandfathers to be able to sit on the front stoop of their house and watch the kids play in the street without having to run inside the house when the sun sets. Because, well, the night walkers come out and you don't want stray bullets going all over the place. We want the kind of peace that demands a working relationship with law enforcement. Instead of having, oh God, here come those people. I don't know which is worse. Doesn't have to be like that. We want regular sanitation trucks coming in, keeping our neighborhood clean. If you don't have enough drivers, well then by God, hire some and pay them a decent living wage. We want a vibrant community. We want people, our young people, to be able to look at the community they live in and saying, yes, we can. Not only can we do better, they can do better than we're doing better. And that's what it needs to be. Our generation, well, it's time for a younger generation of leaders. But we, as the present leaders of our community, need to make sure we hand on to them something they can work with. I can't deal with the problems that are going to come at your generation. But together we can deal with these problems. We need to empower each other to achieve an excellent quality of life. I don't want a handout. I just want an equal opportunity. Mahatma Gandhi said it well. He said, don't give me a loaf of bread. Teach me how to make a loaf of bread, and I'll never be hungry again. So we want not only to be able to have a great quality of life, but organize, and I like this, organize for a successful, equitable, long-lasting implementation. Don't tell us someday. I want today. And if you can't do it, then just respectfully get out of the way and we'll take care of it ourselves. Because when I've said this to some of the workers at the Rock, when you look at the neighborhood, what do you see? I see disaster. I see the place looks like a bomb hit it. And I says, yep, and you would. If I'm a developer, you see a disaster. Me, I see opportunity. And that's what we're trying to talk about here. And then people say, well, what opportunity? I said this to two of my workers. I said, there's a building right across the street from the church. In its day, it must have been probably a supermarket or something, or a little dry goods store. I told him, I says, me, if I was a developer and I wasn't wearing this collar, I don't want that property. I want the whole block from one end to the other. I'll give you 10 million for it. No questions asked. Are you crazy? Crazy like a fox. And they're going to say, yeah, but this is an African-American community. Not a problem. I'll guarantee everybody in the North Side, I'm going to build 2- and 3-bedroom homes. And nobody in the city of St. Louis gets to apply for those homes except the people living in the North Side. And everybody says, yeah, praise God, yes. And it's only going to cost you $275,000. Yeah, and most people are going to say, well, that leaves me out. I know it leaves you out. I already did the homework. They're in a bank in the state of Missouri that's going to give you $275,000. And when you can't do it, well, then some nice upper middle class person, well, I'd like to apply for the 3-bedroom house. No problem. It's only going to cost you $425,000. I know some of you looking, wait, time out. You just said it would cost me $275,000. Yeah, but I also did my homework, and I know you can't buy it, but I know he can. About money and greed. And that's what we need to work together with. You know, we want to ensure that we hold on to values and identity, our identity that we define, because that's who we are. It's about the story, it's about culture, it's about history, but a history that's a living history that we need to be together on. And people say, well, how are you going to do that with these politicians? 7 countries, and I'll leave you with this. Politicians, and I said this to this politician that told me to know my place. Because when I looked at him and I knew he was serious, I looked at him and says, I know my place. I hope you know yours. And he says, see, because one thing I learned long before this, I worked in a hotel kitchen. I always knew I was an employee. Why? Somebody else signed my paycheck. I looked at this individual and I said, remember something. The power you have, people allow you to have. And I said, don't even ask me what party I belong to. I don't care. Because you don't sign your paycheck. Every one of you do. And so if you don't do your job, all you folks are working folks. If you don't do your job or you tell your boss, I don't feel like doing this, no problem. Here's your pink slip. Have a nice day. Collect your severance pay at the office. You're fired. You hired these people. By God, you can fire them. And that's the power. That's the power. That's all the power you need. The other power, that comes from God. And that's free of charge when you use it correctly. But together, there is nothing we cannot do. Together, we can show the younger generation coming up behind us that there is power and truth. And if you hold on to both, and don't worry, you're never going to be alone. Because when the hard times come, they have to come to us first before they get to you. And we're really good when we stand together. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Father. My name is Andrew Gibson, he, him pronouns. I'm here today on behalf of Freedom Arts and Education Center, a youth organization of which I'm the executive director and co-founder. Over to my left is Miles De La Cruz. He's a co-founder and our program director. And we have several of our youth scholar artists here today who are going to lead in some discussions, some community agreements. But we're going to start today reading an excerpt from a poem by Dr. Maya Angelou. So if you can please give them your attention, open your hearts, open your ears to what they have to share with you today.
On the pulse of morning, Maya Angelou. Across the wall of the world, a river sings a beautiful song. It says, come, rest here by my side.
Each of you a border country, delicate and strangely made proud, yet thrust in perpetually under siege. Your armed struggles for profit have left callers of waste upon my shore. Currents of the rest upon my breast. Yet today I call you to my riverside. If you will study war no more, come clad in peace, and I will sing the song the Creator gave to me when I and the tree and the rock were one. Before secondism was a bloody sear across your brow, and when you yet knew, you still knew nothing. The river sings and sings on.
Lift up your eyes upon this day, breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. Women, children, men, take it into the palm of your hands. Mold it into the shape of your most private need. Scope it into the image of your most public self. Lift up your hearts. Each new hour holds new chances for new beginnings. Do not be wedded forever to fear, yoked internally to bruteness.
The horizon leans forward, offering you space to place new steps of change. Here on the pulse of this fine day, you may have the courage to look up and out upon me, the rock, the river, the tree, your country.
Here on the pulse of this new day, you may have the grace to look up and out and into your sister's eyes and into your brother's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for those words. I hope they resonated with you all on how we can engage today. Maybe some of the historic ways that we've been told to engage, but maybe some of the new ways that we can begin to engage with each other in order to create and build the community that we all say that we want. Let's make those things true with the way that we talk to each other. Let's make those things true with the actions that we take when we leave here today. So the next thing that we're going to do is step into a community agreements discussion. So what are the ways that we should engage here today? How should we speak to each other? How should we go about our decision making? In what ways should we take pause before we respond and react to ideas that maybe aren't natural to us? These are some things for us to consider today. So the youth already got started. They put some agreements up here on the board, but now we'd like to hear from all of you about what are the ways that we should engage with each other today. So if you have an idea for a community agreement, we'll bring the microphone to you and you can speak on that a little bit, and then the youth will write it up on the board.
I wish us to engage with each other in truth and respectfulness. There is no need to get personal because one doesn't like another person. We're all in this together. This is two neighborhoods together working to achieve resurrection from what is here now.
My name's Karen. I actually work for the city of St. Louis. I'm the neighborhood improvement specialist. So one thing that I would like to be more of and to be available to you, but to be proactive rather than reactive to things that are not being done for the city to help the communities here. So you will actively see me out, but please, I want you all to reach out to me too. So I just want to be more proactive. So thank you.
All right, proactive, not reactive. I like that.
Well, I just wanted to agree with the lady and what she said, that I feel exactly the same way. And the very thing that you said is exactly what's in my heart. Exactly what you said. So I just want to agree with what she just got through saying.
And I want to say, let's agree to disagree and be respectful.
I would like to see us all realize that we are a multicultural, diverse, economically different community, but in order to thrive and to be a healthy neighborhood, we need to be all inclusive. We need to include the older people, especially the youth. I'm so happy, and I feel my heart just feels so full seeing the youth become involved, and obviously they are committed. I've seen them, numerous times through this process, and it's just vital because, we're an aging community. And if somebody doesn't come along to take the reins from us and pick up the mantle and keep it going, we just, we just can't reach our goals. So that's what we need to do. Thank you.
I think we need to hold our elected officials accountable, because if you control the politics, you control where the money goes. We just saw those last 3 indictments, and all that money went to those Arabs, and we see what they're controlling. We have only one service station left.
I'd like to say that we should share information that's coming from this meeting to others in the neighborhood. Those who do not have social media, those that decide that they're not going to be on social media, open your mouths and share with your neighbors, your community, just to let them know what's going on and to ask them to please come to meetings. Please text them, email them, any way that you can get to them so that we can have more than this. I've walked 600 homes. There are not 600 people in here. We need to get the word out to the people, make sure that they know the churches, the businesses, the residents, and residents mean homeowners, renters. Yes, I said renters as well, because they do live in the community, and those landlords. Please share the word. So in the community agreement, share.
I'd like to say that I think in the community agreements, there should be listening. And sometimes we hear what people are saying, but we're not really listening. We're just waiting for our turn to say something. So I think it's important that we listen, and even if we don't understand, try to get a clear understanding of what is being conveyed to us. So I think if we listen, not just with our ears, but with our heart, that would be a good idea.
Yes, I do. We have a real opportunity to meet new people today, people we have never encountered, or people we haven't seen. Dr. Dan Monty is here from St. Louis University with his class of students. I've worked with Dr. Monty on doing studies with some of the information was, if part of the North Central Plan, his students have an assignment, and that is that they need to meet you all and get an interview date so that they can talk to you all about the neighborhood.
Okay, anything else?
Good afternoon, everyone. I would just like to say that I feel that we need to be more definitive about what we want. A lot of times we speak about what we don't want in terms of what we want, and they're not the same. What we don't want is clear. We speak about our pain all the time. However, if we don't become more definitive about what we want, we get what the Father was speaking about, outsiders coming in and defining for us what's best for us, because we don't know. And they can say that we don't know because we haven't been able to express what we actually want. I watched people shut down a thriving business district, and although those businesses probably needed to be shut down, it was still a developing business district, which is very rare in North St. Louis, period. So if you define the type of businesses you want in a business district, you'll get that. If you don't, anyone can come in and put up any type of business they want to put up. So be more definitive in what we want versus the things we don't want.
I would just like to say something that hasn't been said yet. We need to pray. We need to pray for our community. We need to pray for the leaders. We need to pray for our projects. And we need to especially pray for our children because they're next.
they're next to come up to pick up where we leave off. So I think that the biggest agreement we can make is to pray, because prayer changes things.
I believe we should be more neighborly. And the way to do that is to get offline and go outdoors and meet your neighbors. Most of us don't even know who lives to our left, to our right, east or west. And those are horrible, horrible things that you don't know. And when something happens, we may know one or two in the block. And instead of conversing with one another on the phone about what you see, it's just me and you talking, you're still not getting it out to the masses. So again, get offline, get outdoors, and introduce yourself to your neighbor in the front, to the back, and on each side.
Okay, one thing I would like to add is I'd like to see us all step into the truth that the power's in this room, right? Wherever there's people, there's power. And so if we're organizing here today to talk about problems and solutions and wins and what we're going to do, then when we go out of here today, remembering we still carry that power. And the ways that we can unplug and go outside and knock on doors and pray and all these different things that we can do, there's power in literally all of that to bring about the change that we want. Anything? Oh, we got one more? Okay. All right. Who wants to read what's on the board? Run it down for us.
All right, so I could explain to y'all what's going on the board real quick. So on our side, we got help, be truthful, be kind, and be respectful. The ones y'all came up with, unplug and go outside, engage in truth. We're all in this together, most definitely. Proactive, not reactive. Agree to disagree. Hold politicians accountable, my fault, child. Listen with our hearts. Listen to others and try to understand. Share info from meeting, more than just social media plus meetings. We're all different, be all inclusive. Express what we want, not just our problems. Help the youth and prepare for them. Pray and step into the truth. And be more defiant. Don't just focus on pain. That's all of them.
All right. Thank you all for that. Thank you to everybody that participated and contributed. Thank you to the youth for helping us out. They're going to keep writing on this board and decorating it and writing down things that are true to them, things that they feel as we go about our business today.
Hey, you guys, I'm Cynthia. I live in the Vanderveer neighborhood on Cook Avenue. And we're going to talk about some of the wins that the community has had in both the Grand Center and Covenant Blue Vanderveer areas. So thus far, what we have been seeing through the North Central Plan footprint, we have the Vanderveer Garden Park. If you guys don't know about it, it's at Cook and Pendleton. A lot of people drive down that as a main thoroughfare. And so it's called the Vanderveer Neighborhood Community Healing and Meditation Garden. We also have Turner Park. Turner Park has had a huge revitalization in it. And so a lot of people go out to the park and they have like National Night Out and a lot of different events over there. So that part of the community in the Vanderveer neighborhood is really thriving. Also over there is the North Sarah Place developments. Those are the apartments that are in the area. We have the Little Free Libraries. We had, I guess it's over 50 Little Free Libraries that we put together and that we've been placing around the Hodemont tracks and all around the neighborhoods. The vacant lot work that has been started on Sarah has been started. So we've been trying to get out and create in the green spaces. Right now, there's a book called Vacancy to Vibrancy, and they're in the Little Free Libraries, and we're going to continue to place those in there. So if you're interested in some green space, that's one way you can help out. A lot of lot maintenance has been going on through some of the neighbors. They've taken the initiative to go outside of where the city lacks. We are creating our own and doing our own. So on Page, they've been doing a lot of lot maintenance. Some of the tenants have been doing their own maintenance as well if the landlords don't step in, if the landlords are not there. The potholes have been filled on Pendleton at Page and Cook. Spring Church is open to the public. I don't know where that is, but that's on my list, you guys. So the Grand Hotel up on Grand was closed. So that's a huge, huge plus. Ebony Hotel, yes. The youth have been engaging in this planning implementation. We had the music at the intersection. So Grand Center, oh my goodness, they've been doing wonderful, wonderful things. The dark room on Wednesdays is free for everybody to come up there. It's like an open house kind of poetry session. People can go up there and do poetry, music. So a lot of musicians. We've been finding out all of the different creatives in the neighborhood, creative people. So that's wonderful that we're learning about that. We had our first get together for the Vanderventer neighborhood. We got out together and had dinner over at Bait Restaurant on Lindell. Our next one is going to be October 22nd. We're going to be going over to Bowood Farms for brunch. So you guys are included in that. CAM is a Contemporary Art Museum. We've been partnering with them and the Pulitzer. We're working to facilitate and meet with neighbors in the footprint. I was part of that program. And we created safe spaces, growing safe spaces at different gardens in the neighborhood. And we have plenty of those. The Daughters of Charity have come over and they've been helping in the community cleaning up, and they created a big labyrinth, which is like a maze for meditation in the garden as well. Yes, they're writing all this good stuff on the winds. Thank you, guys. Justine Peterson up on Grand, they had a block party and that was very successful with lots of local vendors and other vendors in the community. We all know about the VA. The Veterans Administration is doing an expansion up on Grand at John Cochran. Thank you to the veterans in this room. I'm also one of those. They're building the tiny houses up there, and they're going to have a garden as well that Barnes Jewish is helping them with. Cardinal Ritter School created a viral video about Black male teachers. Rankin has a high-tech incubator right there on Finney Place. And there's 40 new homes that were built. They still have some more development that they're doing. They just purchased some more lots on Cook Avenue. So right now we have a manufacturing, it's an international manufacturing incubator. And it is basically for the for community and all of those people who are manufacturing in the St. Louis area. So you can get a space in there. During COVID, it was kind of closed, but they're still renting out spaces. And now that was a $2.5 million project. Now also on Finney, they're getting ready to build a $25 million expansion to that incubator, if you guys haven't watched in the news and on the papers. So that's a huge, huge plus. So there's a lot of development going on. So that's a huge win. Legal Services of Eastern Missouri is working with the community partners. And then we also have, if you guys don't know about Community Women Against Hardship, that is a place where a lot of people can go in for support. A lot of people didn't know about it. I didn't know about it until I walked the 600 homes. And I walked 600 homes so that we could have a Vanderventer community-wide yard sale. So we are getting together with our community and learning about each other and knowing the new people. Also walked with Clarence Clifford, who's our new NIS or Neighborhood Improvement Specialist. She met some of the neighbors and some of the other block captains in the neighborhood, and she's working also with the building inspector as well in the neighborhood. Van Deventer was featured at the SLACO conference, and I probably don't even have all of the wins on here, but that's what I know of thus far. Does anybody else, can you guys mention any wins that you've seen in your neighborhood, that you've gotten out and talked with people and you've learned about them that you don't know about? Okay, great.
I think it's important as we work to implement the North Central Plan that we look at the development of partnerships within and without Covenant Blue and Van Deventer. One win I would like to report, and we're going to hear a little bit more information on it in a few minutes, is the success of the Holdermont Tracks. And the Holdermont Tracks is 3.5 mile vacant stretch, which will be converted into a greenway. Many of you will probably say, why is this greenway so important, and why every time Judith speaks, she speaks about the greenway? The greenway is the economic catalyst which has spurred Rankin, which has spurred the VA, which has spurred new construction and rehabilitation that is occurring in these neighborhoods. It is the announcement of the greenway that caused those investors to either stay put or to do work. The development did not occur overnight. It was a long process. For me, it started in 2018, working with all of those entities that Cynthia just talked about to get them to stay put, because they were all getting ready to go somewhere else and scatter, which would have left our neighborhoods with a great big void. So I wanted to talk about those partners, but another partner I wanted to speak about, which many of you do not know, is that there is a group of people that are working on the Del Mar corridor. Father talked about the Del Mar divide. Pretty soon it's not going to look like a Del Mar divide. There is median plan, and when I talk about projects, I'm talking about all the way from Van Deventer all the way to the line of Skanker on Del Mar. Those medians that are in place between Kings Highway and Union are going to be redone, replanted, beautified. Then somebody came over to me last week and said, Judith, you need trees? I said, I need trees, because in that Del Mar corridor plan, there was nothing for the residential area east of Kings Highway. She said, how many trees you need? I said, how many trees you got? So we're going to be doing a lot of tree planting next year on the tree lines on Del Mar. That's an important partnership. I mean, it's got to be 12 different entities involved in breaking that Del Mar line down. The other thing I want to mention is everybody's talking about Van Deventer and Covenant Blue. We are the hottest neighborhood in the city at this point. Everybody wants to be here. That didn't happen overnight. It took a lot of work by a lot of people. When I talk about Van Deventer and Covenant Blue, I talk about that whole stretch of 7 neighborhoods that are between Holdermont Tracks or border of Holdermont Tracks and Del Mar. We have a saying that says, whatever is successful in one neighborhood is successful for all 7 of us. So we have the Del Mar Divine that just got finished from St. Luke's Hospital. Another result of mentioning the Holdermont Tracks. Maxine Clark was on my bus when I was taking investors and developers through the 7 neighborhoods. And she says, Judith, I want a big project. We pulled up to St. Luke's and I said, and she said, yes. It's been rehabbed, new commercial going out on Del Mar, 2 floors, social services coming in, and apartments coming in. There's going to be a garden and some other stuff back there too. We have Del Mar Main Street. Del Mar Main Street is focused on the commercial area between Taylor and Skinker going into the loop. So when we talk about planning and redevelopment, we're talking about all those partnerships that are in place that weren't in place 10 years ago. So I want everyone to realize we can't do our work in a vacuum. No matter what people want to do, they want to pick us apart as neighborhoods. Generally, it includes me. So then I have to put my foot down and say, oh no, there's 6 other neighborhoods in here. If we're going to do something for one, we're going to do something for all.
I totally agree with that. Judith has been a huge staple in this community, bringing lots and lots of companies together and organizations together. Brother Bob just moved into the area. He took over one of the gardens, Good Life Growing. Good Life Growing is right there. I'm gonna let you speak about it.
Well, it was an honor and a pleasure with the family from the Philippines. I've been volunteering there over the years, bringing my grandchildren and senior citizens down, and been closed for about 2 years. The family have expanded to buy a large farm over in Sauget, Illinois, and Vandale, Illinois, growing commercial industrial hemp, one of the larger cash crops. But to have over an acre there at Good Life Growing is very important that we have a base in the community that we can start expanding. We also have the greenhouse. Now we need to expand. When I was young, so I started at 3 years old with the Bible and the Constitution and good work ethics. I'm looking at a 3 to 5 year projection now in terms of us uniting with others that are already doing. We have to come together. We need to get some tractors in here next year. We need to get some of as many LRA vacant property. I met twice with the new executive director. We have to come up with solutions. And part of what I'm dealing with is a national council elder. I've traveled all over the country. I'm 80 years old with Dick Gregory, security of Andrew Davis. I'm a real revolutionary. I'm a revolutionary Christian. I love my God. I'm with you on board, priest, and everything. That's what we got to get our babies to get back to. I've come out of Cairo, Illinois, where we allow no police into the all-black pyramid code housing projects. We have a right, a God-given right to defend ourselves. The Second Amendments. If we can defend myself, I can defend my family, my community. We did that. The movie documentary Between Two Rivers, Cairo, Illinois. God done blessed me. I'm a vessel for my God. And to be here and stand on the battlefield, still have the energy and the strength. Well, I take my vitamin, my herbs, I don't get it wrong, and on the farm, I can get to eat real healthy coming out of Mississippi. So we're on to something now. We need to set up our own flea market there on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. And we need to start creating our own job. We need to get into manufacturing, commercial sewing. No more welfare, no more begging. We got to get away from that. And thank you so much, sister.
So he has a lot of space to develop over there where he is. What is the street? I'm sorry.
We had Evans and Sarah, 4057 Evans. That's right between Dr. Martin Luther King and Page.
So when I walked those 600 homes in the entire Vanderventor neighborhood, people did not know if they were part of Vanderventor or if they were part of the Ville. We got that straight though. So people are really excited about what's going on now. Sam had something he wanted to say as a win for the community as well.
Okay, well, it's a pleasure to be here today. And what I want to do is to all the individuals that put this together, let's give a great big hand. Praise God. Amen. And Me and my wife, our ministry been at 3803 Page for about be 20 years this next year. We've been feeding the community and food pantry. We've been doing everything that we could with just a small group of people. But you know, God had showed me a vision in 2009 about the whole community. But it's some land that was across the street that we just purchased a couple weeks ago. And we just purchased that land right at 3746 Page, right at Prairie. And this is the new outreach building that we're planning on putting there. And it's going to be an outreach ministry for the community. And what we're doing now, we just have the building that we in maybe, I guess maybe not even half as big as this. But we've been doing a lot of great works in the community and with our food pantry, we've been feeding a lot of people. We can get way more food if we had a lot more space, a lot more room, and we could do a whole lot of more things. But this is the reason why this building is going up. And this is my wife, Maria Estelle, and we're looking forward for this to go up next year. And so we wanted to show you all this, and we'll, with everybody that's in the community, then that's it. This is our plan, is to connect and to engage and to be a part of what's going on. And we putting our hand in this for the good, that we want to be able to help in any way that we can, not to hinder, but to help, because it's time out for hindering, and it's time to help, to connect, to engage. And everything that individual said that was put up on that community agreement, I agree with. And so we're looking forward to it. And God had already showed me the vision about 14 years ago. And so it's a good thing when you can see it start to come to pass. And so we want to show you all this, and we're glad to be a part of this plan.
So he went out and bought some land. See there? We got more wins on that one. We have 4 of these pages that have been filled up. Does anybody have a brief word of their win that they've seen in the community? Anything? I'm going to stand right here by you. You know why? Because I want to see Sigma Gamma Rho and all the other Black fraternities and sororities come out. We want to see you guys. We're asking for volunteers on our knees, on paper. I've gone on television so many times to ask. We need to see you guys out here. We see you guys at different functions. Look, oh, you know I'm coming to you. She got her Delta on proud. We need to see you guys out here. We really do. I have contacted so many Black fraternities and sororities to get the door closed in my face. I'm tired of it. But we got a lot of wins. We are seeing people bike ride up and down the neighborhood now. Yes. People are walking by, waving, blowing their horns, getting out of their cars, talking to each other. That's what we want to see. So come on, you guys. Let's spread the word and share, 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 share.
All right, thank you all. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin Reedy Rozier. I have been in the neighborhood for about 5 years. I live in the old firehouse on Enright. And I get the opportunity today for us to sort of brainstorm. We've heard these wins, and we know there are a lot of projects that are happening currently, right? We may not already be tallying those as wins just yet, because you might need something, right? You might need something from our community members to put that project, that thing that you're doing in your neighborhood, in the win category. So today's People's Assembly was really about, and there was a sort of call, like, we need to decide what we are, right? We know what we do not want to be. We know what we are not, but we need to decide what we are and what we are doing. And there are people that are doing that. So what we're going to ask you to do is we're going to ask you, you should have all gotten a piece of printer paper and a pen as you walked in. Does anybody not have printer paper, a blank sheet of paper, and a pen? If you do not, please raise your hand. And I think David is going to come around and hand out. Yeah, go ahead, Cynthia. Thanks, Cynthia. All right, so I think if you do not have a piece of paper, hands high so that we can make sure that we can get you a piece of paper, because we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to participate in this. So as Cynthia was walking through the wins, you may or may not have noticed that around the room, we have people, we have place, and we have organization, okay? So it is likely, although maybe not entirely true, that you are doing a project that involves one of those three things, right? You just talked about the partnerships that are happening, right? That might be something that's happening with organizations. There's a lot of work about place happening, right? Things that people are building, land that's being established. We've got people, right? We've got a new neighborhood improvement specialist, right? Things are happening in our neighborhood, and there may be things that you're doing that you need something, right? That fall into these categories. So what we want you to do on your blank sheet of paper is I want you to list the project, the thing that you are doing in your neighborhood. This does not have to be a massive thing, okay? I will give you an example. Over the last month and a half, I have taken in 2 stray cats. They are adorable little kittens. I did not plan to have kittens in my house, but I have 2 of them. And we know in our neighborhood, because of conversations I've had with some of my neighbors, that we have many other stray cats in our neighborhood. So one of the projects I'm trying to work on is figuring out, how do I get OpSpot out to do some treat and release, right? To come out, capture the cats, spay them, and then release them back, because that is their home as much as it is mine, right? That is a project that I am working on. Is that going to impact the entire footprint? Unlikely. But is it going to be good for my neighborhood, for my neighbors, for the people around me? Yes, right? So it doesn't have to be a massive project. What are the things that you're working on? So I want you to list that project. And then I want you to figure out, if you are successful in that project, what do you need? Do you need volunteers? How many volunteers do you need? Do you need equipment? What kind of equipment? Do you need information? What kind of information? Do you need connections? What kind of connections, right? Because what we're going to do is, once you've identified your project, there's going to be other flip chart paper. And you are going to go around and you are going to write, what do you need for your project on the flip chart paper, okay? And as you write what you need, we're going to do a gallery walk while folks are getting lunch or early dinner. I don't know what time it will be at that point. And you can walk around and you can say like, hey, I've got that thing, right? I've got an extra lawnmower. I have the ability to volunteer. I'm really interested in helping with this. I know somebody here that can help you, right? And you can help us fill our neighbors' needs. How cool. So take a few minutes, write down your project, write down has anybody heard of SMART goals? And when I say SMART, so what is your specific need? That is the S on SMART. How will you measure success, right? What does that look like for you? Is it achievable, right? Your goal should be achievable. I have the R here. someplace? Is it realistic, right? We're not trying to change the world overnight. And what is the timeline that you need this done in? So again, as you're listing out your needs, if you need 15 volunteers by tomorrow, please write 15 volunteers by 10/2, right? This is the way that we're going to get this done. Are there any questions about what I am asking you all to do? Yes, David.
What if I'm an individual, but I'm also part of an organization? Can our organization have a specific need?
Definitely can. Yes.
Right.
So if you are an organization and your organization has needs, what is your organization working on? What does your organization need? Right? Same idea. Okay. Thank you, David, for that question. Anybody else have any questions about what I am asking you to do? So we're going to give you, I don't even know where we are in time. David, how long are we going to give them? 15 minutes? Well, 15, 20 minutes. We'll see where folks are. 15, 20 minutes. Take your piece of paper. And then once you've got it done, go up to one of our lovely friends who are sitting at the chart over here. Tell them. You can either write it yourself. I'm assuming they won't like bogart the markers, or they can write it for you. Either way. And then, take a chill, do some networking. Lunch, dinner will be out at some point in this time frame. Do a gallery walk. Right? If you can think of any other wins, populate some more wins, right? So take some time to do this. If you've got questions, I will be here. David will be over there. Happy to help. All right. Thank you all. Oh, yes. Hang on. Question. Here.
I just want to say if anyone is having a stray cat or dog issue, Carroll House Clinic on Jefferson will come and bring the humane traps, capture the animals, take them, get them fixed, neutered and spayed, no charge to you. And they're wonderful people. And this is a really good resource because we are overloaded with cats. Dogs, they're stray rescue and different other places pick up dogs. It's harder to catch cats. But we got 19 cats fixed and neutered. Half of those I'm still feeding. But that's okay. I've always fed animals. That's just me. I'm just an animal person. But I just wanted to put that out there.
Thanks, Kathy. Making note. All right. Take your time. If you've got questions, let us know. And we look forward to seeing what you all are populating, what you all need. All right, how are folks doing? Are we doing okay? All right, we see folks having conversations. I'm glad to see some of these things getting written down. If you have not yet had an opportunity to record your needs, to write down on one of the flip chart papers what it is that you need, we want to make sure that we've got this documented. A little bit of foreshadowing, because what we're going to have you do next is when you do the gallery walk, you will notice that there's Post-its now on the table, or on your chairs. And so you'll be able to go around and sign up actually on the flip chart paper of what you are going to do. So we have sort of a recorded incidence of that. And you can write it down on your little Post-it note, or, you know, if you want to write it on your Post-it note and use that to sign up, whatever way works best for you. But we want to make sure that we've got this recorded because we want to be able to come back to it. This is a little bit of an accountability mechanism to make sure that everybody knows what's happening. And so just want to make sure that these things get recorded. So if you have not yet had a chance to record your need, and if you've been having conversations with people and you've got people that have already filled in those needs, great. Make sure that that also gets recorded. All right. All right, so you can continue milling for another like 15 minutes or so. I see there's still some stuff scribing, and there are refreshments on the table if you haven't found them, some chips, some drinks. So feel free to help yourself too. Food will be here around 3 or so. So yes, we'll also have some time to share out. So make sure we get those on there, and then we're going to come back, share out before mealtime. Okay. All right. Thank you all for getting those documented. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go through, myself and David are gonna go through and we're gonna read what you all wrote on the needs. So we're gonna read it. You can also look at it as you're sort of milling about. But we want to make sure that everybody is aware of what's happening and where the needs are. And if as either your need is read and you feel like you need to expand upon that a little bit more, or whatever that might be, or if you have a question about that particular need, this is also a time for us to have some discussion. And then after we're done with this, we'll do a break for lunch. Again, an opportunity for you to come sign up for things. And then we come back. We will do a similar kind of process of making sure that needs are being met, or that we're able to more define what our needs are. So I'm going to start over here in people. So in people needs, there is a need for an LRA executive director. I see this up here. We have a need for connection to contractors for a container home. I happen to know that this is happening on Enright and I'm very excited about it. I don't have a contractor for you. I'm just excited. And then fill out the Post-its in the lobby to give input on Deaconess Foundation's strategic priorities. So there's a need to weigh in on some strategic priorities for this organization where we are currently sitting. And then there is a need for, looks like volunteers to help with spreading soil and mulch in front of a mural wall. There's a couple of dates listed here, and that is with Judith. So if you are available on these dates to volunteer, you can, the dates are October 5th and 6th and October 8th. The October 8th is a Saturday, 8:30 to noon. So there's contact information for Judith. If you're available October 5th and 6th or October 8th, you can sign up here as well. Judith, do you have any, do you need a certain amount of volunteers or whoever can come?
Plants, over 150 plants planted in front of this mural wall. The mural wall is 120 feet. And so we just need anybody who wants to come, if you just want to come for 30 minutes, we would appreciate you putting a couple bulbs in the ground.
Many hands make light work. Okay, so any questions about what I have read? Suggestion? Schools?
Idea for us to get a invitation to Cardinal Ritter, Clyde C. Miller, Metro to bring the students out to get community service.
Okay.
No.
That might also be something. I know we've got SLU folks here. SLU folks, that is service learning being a huge part of SLU's curriculum. So that might also be an opportunity for SLU folks to get in some hours there. Just throwing that out there, or just to give back. Oh yes, there was another one over here. Sorry. So for the SLU graduate students who are here, there's also an ask for interviewing new homeowners and renters in the Vandeventer neighborhood. So there's some contact information here. And there was a particular ask for, yes, I will be doing an interview. So particularly new white residents and some of the folks moving in who are renters. So if you happen to be one of those, or you happen to know any of those folks that might be new to your neighborhood, reach out to Dr. Monty. Okay. All right. If you have questions or if you have clarification, we will come back to this, but I'm going to send it over to David.
Okay, so I have a list of needs from around place. So Estelle Ministries outreach is, as we noted, Sam noted earlier, is to build their new property. They're looking specifically for funding and grants right now, help with construction and lot cleaners. The timeline is 18 months. So if there's folks that are around either assisting with the property, funding, construction, lot cleaners, Maria has put her phone number on here as well. Then there is a need to reduce problem properties in Covenant Blue Grand Center. Need assistance from community businesses to provide equipment for lawn care. So there's asked from Audrey about specifically around equipment for lawn care in this scope on that. Needs, it's a decide what we are. I don't know if there's a specific ask, if somebody wants to lift that or note. Okay. Van de Winter neighborhood is asking for ways to announce meetings and events offline. Is there is asking around for potentially a digital board or banners or yard signs, the yard signs. It looks like someone's having a timeline of November 1st. I would like to see this. Is there somebody specifically connected to this they want to point? Oh, okay. Okay. Let's see there. Also, there's a need for a community garage sale. They are looking for a need for a garage, a partnership. I think this is Cynthia wrote this as well. Wanting for partnership around the community garage sale. So we'll have sign up here looking for June of next year for anyone that's interested in doing a Van de Winter garage sale. There is a need for alley cleaned from illegal dumping, 4 or 5 people before the end of the month. Within that. So if anyone's interested, we can find connection around there. There's someone that's looking for contractors for a container home within that. So if is that on there? We're appreciate it. Look, double need. Look, make sure it's heard. Define, confirm. Okay. We're looking for the need of defining, confirm the wants and types of green spaces and other developments in here, in the footprint. Oh, okay. You want to say it again?
Yes. In part of creating the jobs, we need to set up our urban farm flea market. We have a lot of items that have been donated. We have other that people have invested in. And we can teach our young people how to do inventory, how to sell, how to make money, open up their own savings account. By me studying law, we make sure we open up their business account. So we're looking at a 3 to 5 year projection. This goes right in hand with what you all have been doing here over the last few years. And I take my hat off to you all. Thank you.
So Brother Bob has left his number here for setting up for volunteers for that. There's a specific need for speed bumps between. Somebody's looking for help with speed bumps between Pendleton and Whittier. Could not say the word. Whittier. And as well as assistance in thinking through of how are we getting the lot grass cut. There are West Bell neighbors that are in emergency need for home improvement and repair grants. So if anyone has had contact or resources around that. We talked the mural on that. And then Great Rivers Greenway is connecting around the greenways on the Hodemont track and the Brick Line Greenway. They're looking for involvement in the planning process, as well as opportunities to outreach and spread awareness. And they listed their website, grgstl.org, and bricklinegreenway.org as well as opportunities to plug in.
All right. Any questions about what David shared for needs over there? Okay. So then we come to organizational needs. I'm going to come to you in just a second, brother, but I'm going to jump to these other ones first. So it looks like there's some really exciting things happening here around needs for connections, land, and funding by January of 2024 related to, it seems like perhaps the building of a new YMCA and a youth hostel. Would anybody like to share a little bit more about that? Crickets. All right, well, that is very exciting. YMCA being on the Del Mar corridor, and then also a youth hostel on the Del Mar corridor. There's a lot of information here. So the youth hostel being in the formerly the Liberty Hospital. So if this is something that you are interested in, there is contact information up here. I think, yes. St. Louis Youth Hostel on Facebook. Maybe not so much about the YMCA, but I have a sense that those things are connected. So I imagine you could get information from Facebook. There's also a need for a working group for planning and LRA. Anybody? Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alexa Sita, and I'm a senior planner with the city's Planning and Urban Design Agency. And I am tasked with assisting in neighborhood planning processes, and also the city at some point will do neighborhood planning. So hopefully that will start soon. But anyways, what I need here is if you take a look at this plan, there are some urban design elements in it. So urban design to us means like, okay, what are the land use changes that my department is tasked with working on? What do we need to do legislation wise? What do we need to do in terms of working with our other city agencies to make sure certain types of development happen? So I have been working with some folks in our department to kind of assess the green spaces that are in this plan. So if you, I think it's urban design element number 7 that calls for those small residential parks. So we have combed through them, figured some stuff out. And what we're looking at is like, what is the actual feasibility of some of these parks? But also this is the opportunity to go back in there and determine whether or not residents here want or need those type of parks, because they are big. So maybe they could be smaller, bigger, but also there are different owners that are within those spaces. And it's my job to speak with those owners to make sure that whether or not they want to change their space. So we can't just tell someone because of a plan that we're going to change their home. Let's say their home is located within that footprint, that we're not going to change their home into a park. So that's what I'm coming through here to see if there's any of those discrepancies. So what I need is a working group is to work with me and the new executive director. I don't know if you guys have met him yet. He's director of 2 different departments within St. Louis Development Corporation, but he is the executive director right now for LRA. And they, a lot of stuff going on with SODC restructuring, but he is willing to meet with folks. And a lot of in this plan where it calls for those parks, a lot of those parcels or pieces of land or lots that are in these parks are owned by LRA. So we just have to have a conversation with them to see who has maybe have bought stuff since the adoption of this plan and or really define. So that was actually my other point over here was define the type of green spaces we need and or maybe it's housing development. Like we just kind of have to go a little bit back to the drawing board to define what we want to do with those LRA sites, because now there is an opportunity. They have restructured LRA and they will begin, I think, next year reselling LRA properties. And what they want to do is actually follow these plans so people can't just come and buy stuff anymore. They actually have to adhere to what you all want. And so if anyone wants to be part of that working group and want to talk about what they want to see those LRA properties be developed into, please talk with me. My name's Alexa. I don't have any business cards on me. David has my information. Judith has my information. Miss Audrey has my information. Miss Barbara has my information. Shaughnessy. But my phone number, if you want to reach me at my desk, is 314-657-3852. The 65, and I do answer my phone. If I don't answer it, that means I was working from home. Okay. So the working group first, there's not a structure to it yet. It's just really seeing who wants to be involved. And then I will coordinate with the executive director of LRA to see, he has a very busy schedule since he's director of 2 departments at SLDC. And we will kind of construct together, work together on how we want to meet with him and all sort of that stuff.
If
So this is super introductory.
If you
no
miss
format.
that phone number, the other thing, this will be sort of the second half of this, is that you will be able to come up here and like put your name by this and say like, hey, I want to do this thing. And that way Alexa can come and look, okay, I have 15 people that are interested in this. And then we can make sure that all of that contact information gets shared where it needs to be.
We've been, as a group of us, we've been working on getting rid of a building that's right on across the street from the Housing Authority. It's been condemned by the city twice. And the Historical Commission keeps taking it off the table because they say the facade is a historical architectural landmark. The building is a threat to the people in this community. It's a hazard, and it's used by drug dealers, it's used by drug addicts, and God help you if you get caught in that building. There's nothing historical about it, but the Historical Commission keeps putting it back on the shelf. Now, how do we get past that? Because it's an eyesore. There's gaping holes in the building. There are structural damage. There's no saving that building.
Do we put that up as one of the needs up here?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
You just triggered all my red flags when you said city planning.
Good.
Because we've tried, and it's been condemned by the authorities twice.
Can we get that up on the place needs of needing to demolish that building? And that way, I hear Alexa saying, I will try and use some connections, but also just making sure that we've got that documented as a need. All right, and then the last thing up here. So we have needs for more information, partnership with stakeholders, and access to you. So I'm going to turn it over to Brother Collins Bay. David, can you?
Once again, good afternoon. My entire purpose for being here is a little bit different than everyone else, but it's the same. As she said, my name is Dorian Collins Bay, and the reason I'm here is because I'm working towards having my name put on the ballot to run for 12th Ward Alderman. The 12th Ward is like in the heart of North St. Louis. It borders every ward in North St. Louis. A lot of stuff that's going on over here, Vanderbilt neighborhood is part of that ward. So my entire purpose for being here is to learn. I don't even know how to describe it, but one thing I do not like about the way politics in North St. Louis go is that our politicians think they're ward bosses rather than ward servants. They dictate rather than listen and build. And that's why we're in the condition that we're in now. And so, as I said, that's why I agree with what Father was saying earlier. When you go see the doctor, they find out what's wrong with you first before they prescribe any type of action, be it surgery, medication, or whatever. They do not just look at you and say, okay, you need 6 Tylenols, and really all you need is a cast. And that's working backwards. I've lived on School Street, on Enright, on Washington. I remember when Terry Kennedy shut down all the prostitution and everything and cleaned up Washington Boulevard, cleaned up Olive Boulevard. Was part of the conversation as far as what to do with Gaslight Square when everybody wanted to remain his entertainment district, and some people were upset because it became residential. Don't like the abuse of historic designation just because of fancy architecture. I went to school to be an architect. I love beautiful buildings, but a lot of them need to be torn down and just simply rebuilt. So what is meant by that is more information as far as what the community wants. I'm a firm believer that whatever happens on Delmar becomes an impetus, becomes a motivator, becomes a pivot point for what's going to happen on Page. Whatever happens on Page does the same thing for Martin Luther King, so on and so forth for the entire city. So none of these developments are silo projects. They have a way of affecting the very next neighborhood, the very next community. And that's why I'm here. So that's why it says more information and more importantly, more access to you. When I was walking the Vanderbilt neighborhood and some of the other adjoining neighborhoods, knocking on doors wasn't easy. Getting people to come outside and talk wasn't easy. You know, people don't know you. They're kind of leery. I don't care. I can put on an $800 suit or I can put on some $200 tennis shoe. My presentation didn't matter. What mattered was, I don't know you, why are you here? I'm here because I want to learn more about you. I'm trying to help you. So we have to become more accessible in order to get the assistance that we want. We can't get the assistance if we're not accessible. Urban planning, they get out and they do their job. The alderman gets out and does his job. Those jobs overlap, but very seldom is the communication what it needs to be to get the job done, unless you have somebody that's willing to do it, somebody that understands that they're a servant and not the boss. Somebody that understands that they're a servant and not trying to be a tyrant. And that's why I'm here. So I did leave my name and number up there for contact purposes. I'm not here to campaign, because whether I become the alderman or not, I've always worked towards the betterment of this city. The last 12 years I've spent as a career specialist at Employment Connection, trying to get people to see their own value, their own worth, and get them into careers and not just jobs, because I understood the impact that alone has on each and every community. If you're not sitting at home idle with nothing to do, you don't end up getting into trouble. If you have money to invest in your home, then everybody's property value increases because you've learned about the maintenance of your property. You'd be surprised how many people don't understand how much just planting flowers in the front of your home improves the curb appeal and also goes towards the overall value of your property. But that was part of our job. Well, it wasn't part of our job, but it was part of what I incorporated into my job. It was a holistic approach to improvement. And that's who I am. That's what I stand for. And that's what I'm hoping to accomplish, not only here, because the 12th Ward, it goes all the way over to Baden, goes all the way down to Gimblin and Hall Street. And what led me to run is, if any of you ever get a chance to look at that map, I asked everybody to tell me what they see. The first thing I saw, this map looks like an individual falling down on their face to pray. And I don't care what your religion is, in every religious book I've ever read, when they came before the face of God, the first thing they did was fall down on their face and pray. That's why I'm here. Thank you.
Last need here that David wrote up here, which I think is really important. So we all volunteer to help run these meetings, and it's really important that we have representation from all of you in this. And so there's an ask for volunteers for the planning table for our People's Assembly by October 15th. So David is the contact person for that. So if you are interested in facilitating a portion of these meetings or having some say in what happens in these People Assembly spaces, that is the place to be. And I will tell you, it is very cool to see this group come together and sort of figure out how are we gonna push us forward. All right. So with that, if there are other needs, yes.
Over there. Yep, thank you. So I am here on behalf of Deaconess Foundation, and Deaconess they have had strategic priorities that were established in 2014 that have helped guide how dollars are invested into this community and into community organizations and other resources. And as we sort of move into 2023, the world shifted, right? We've had some really awesome policy wins in that time, and there's been a pandemic and continued inequity. And so we're really thinking about realigning those strategic priorities to community needs. So we're out in the community talking to people, we're going to events, we're having all kinds of conversations to hear from community members about how we should realign these strategic priorities. So I'm out in the lobby, and I'd just love to hear from all of you and either formally put something down on a Post-it note or just chat with me a little bit about where you see some needs in community, both that have been identified here and elsewhere.
Thank you. So we're going to break. There's food out here. What I would like you to do, get your food, eat, network, connect with neighbors, whatever you want to do, but also take some time. So you've heard us tell you what is on the sort of flip chart paper. If something resonated with you, you're like, yes, I'm going to go plant some plants down at the mural wall. I've got those days available. I know some people. I can make some connections, right? Whatever it was that sort of sent up a flag for you and said, like, I can do that. We'd like you to go, and we'd like you to write your name next to the thing that you are going to do. You can also try and connect, so if anybody is interested in sort of talking with Brother Bay Collins, or Collins Bay, sorry, about what you envision for this neighborhood, you can also take down his contact information, right? So if there's contact information, two-way street. So that is going to be sort of our accountability. We'll come back. If you have other needs that weren't articulated, feel free to put them back up there. This is an iterative process. And if you have any other questions, please, you can find myself, you can find David, and we will help guide you in the appropriate way. All right. So with that, we will break for meal time until 4 p.m.
Hey folks, we're gonna do a 5-minute warning, so get your last like stretch in, come back. If you haven't written any connections up on the board, please do. There's other needs that need to be lifted. And come back in about 5 minutes. Thank you.
Hello? All right. All right, welcome back. Our numbers have dwindled a little bit. That's fine. So hopefully you all had a chance to go around and sign up. I was looking and I saw a couple of signups over here for the mural planting. So we've got a couple of names over there. I see people also taking pictures, so folks may have questions. And so really hoping that you have an opportunity. So I just wanted to fill you in. So part of this, and I mentioned this earlier, part of this is about the accountability, right? Being able to say, we have documented needs. We have people who have said that they are willing and or have knowledge or human power to make those things happen. So there's an accountability mechanism in this. I think it's also important to recognize that part of this, and somebody mentioned it when we were doing our community norms earlier, is about being neighborly, right? And recognizing that as we have done these people's assemblies and as we've sort of gone through this process, my first one was the last meeting we were at. And what I heard a lot in that space was a lot of pain and hurt from previous experiences with this sort of process. And I think in some of that is because things didn't get done. And so this is our way of sort of pushing us to get things done, right? To recognize the work that has happened in these sort of wins, the way that our community is showing up in St. Louis. But this is also a way to say it is a safe and important way to be able to articulate what you need, right? To be able to say, I need this, right? And to be able to depend on our neighbors to help fill that need. And that might be uncomfortable for some of us. That may be not a natural thing for us to do because we may have been so used to doing this on our own for so long, or so used to people not showing up for us. And so we want to make sure that we've documented what the needs are and that we've documented who says they're going to show up. And this isn't meant to say that if you aren't able to show up for the mural planting because something comes up, we're not going to slap you on the wrist, but it is about then how do we have a conversation about that, right? What does it mean to be accountable to each other, to be neighbors, and to create a sense of community in our community? So with that, I am going to turn it over to Gary. And Gary's going to lead us through sort of thinking about where are the gaps, where are the things that we need to continue to fill, and where do we move forward from here?
Thank you. David's got me batting cleanup, so I feel like Albert Pujols a little bit. So, but I'm not Albert. My name is Gary Clark. I own American Automotive Services, which is at 3424 Delmar. We're a fourth generation business. And you may be thinking, how'd you get to Delmar? 1929, Grandpa started fixing Model Ts on Pine Street in Mill Creek. We know how Mill Creek ended. 1962, Dad hired a small construction firm and they built the existing body on Delmar, and that was Gabe Alvarisi. And so I don't think he built another body shop after that. One of the things I wasn't necessarily looking forward to the People's Assembly today because of the first one, but this thing was unbelievable. This thing is really dynamic. The only sad part is there should be 200 people here, but this thing has got so much momentum. I've been in this neighborhood since a young kid, so it's almost 50 years. I kind of fell out of love with it when I had to live with Blumeyer for about 15 years, but that's long gone. But the momentum in this neighborhood, the excitement in this neighborhood is something that I've never experienced or never seen. So I think the future is bright. Again, my compliments to David. This thing, the direction that the thing is going is incredible. So what we're going to try and do today, or in this last section here, is there any needs that haven't been met? Has anybody not been connected either with an organization or with manpower? And we were going to try and list those today. So if anybody's got anything.
that is, I need you, Gary, to be part of the Delmar Collaborative because your business is on Delmar, and then we're going to be doing some infrastructure build. So I'll share my phone number.
Okay, excellent. Back in the 1980s, when I came back in town, there was a group of businesses called the Locust Business District. And that ended up being about 30 or 40 small businesses in the neighborhood. And, small business nowadays is a tough proposition. I would say back in an earlier time, we were fortunate because we were our own bosses, and a lot of times the margins were there where good livings could be made. I can't say that anymore. The margins are tight, labor's tight. When you go to the bank, and if you can get money, there are personal guarantees all along. You sign your house. I've never, I'm almost 67 years old now. I've never had a moment where my house hasn't been on the line every time we open up the doors. So our customers are important. I think another big part of this is that as this neighborhood, this was never a neighborhood that we could survive on. We always had to draw outside the neighborhood, but with the strength in numbers and the strength in residents that are right around the corner, there's an outstanding chance. And what would be neater if there was breweries are important now. What if there was the first African-American brewery in this neighborhood? Coffee shops are critical. So I think all that stuff comes when you have a strong residence. And then when you have that, you have home equity, you have all kinds of good things for the neighborhood. So I'm really bullish, and that's why I'm here today. I'm glad that I got to see it. I was hoping that it was going to come 10 or 20 years ago, but it took its time, and now we're here. So is there any other needs that need to be met that we can post? Any ideas? So, all righty. Well, if that's the case, then I think what we'll do now is we'll leave David to close. If David's here. Any other ideas that I missed?
Yeah. Okay. We're good. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you for the Freedom Arts Youth for taking all day. Can we give them a round of applause on that? Want to thank all of the facilitators who took a role in this, thinking through of their specific roles, their specific parts of this. How they want to bring their full self to this conversation, because that's what this is about, is so that we know who we are and we know what we want to be, right? We decide what we are and what are the needs and how can we find the resources and support amongst ourselves here within that. So thank you. Can we give a round of applause for all the facilitators? That our catering group was Healthy Soul Catering, which is a Black female owned catering group. So they provided the food. Please look them up. Miss Yolanda does great work, has continued to feed us. So we'll give them a round of applause as well. So thank you for Deaconess Foundation staff, other folks that behind the scenes opened the door for me, gave me a key so I could be here in that. So thank you for everyone for that in this. And also finally, you all, everyone here, because this is what this is. I think Gary talked about this, others have talked about that this power is in this room and continuing to be important. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. We can do it. Yeah, we can do it. Right, so we know that these assemblies is a important part of how are we continuing to see this work move forward. Know that we are surrounded by winds, right? We're feel that hug, feel that warmth of winds and progress in this community, and it's because we've journeyed together through a North Central plan. We've said, hey, this is what we've desired. We've said this is we've identified. We're not the first ones to identify these problems. We're elders and others who are not with us have done so before, and so now we're saying, hey, how are we continuing to move and make resources and support on that. And we're doing that today. So it's important to make sure that we leave in celebration of that, that we know that we're going to be held accountable on this, on these needs. Our commitment here is to make sure that we capture these needs, that we categorize them, that we push them out so that folks are, that we can continue to track them to say, hey, did that happen? As Caitlin noted, so that we could say, hey, how can we make sure that we're making these steps and move forward? And then specifically the next, in that next action steps, the next assembly, the next, it will be Saturday, December 10th, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. When's the next assembly? Nice, beautiful, great. It was all there, right here in that. So we will close out the year. We would close out this, our process for this year's assemblies to really say, okay, what other work did we get done, right? What were the other wins? Are we done with all the stray cats? Yes, we are, right? Because we could do that in like that time, right? No problem. And then what is the next step, right? What is the next need that we need? What is the next resources in that? And how do we continue to move forward on this? I want to thank you all again deeply. I appreciate this. I get fed by you all, and bring the joy in that. So thank you. Have a lovely evening, the rest of your weekend. Good night.